Okay, I'd like to call the December 12th Budget Committee work meeting to order at 7:08 with a roll call, please.
Betsy Colburn.
Brian Winslow.
Tom Chase. Betty Smith.
Ted Wilkinson.
Michael Moore. Eric Buckley.
Brad Hall. Mike Jobin.
Linda Smith.
Bob Young.
Scott Breyer.
And Ginger Dole. Okay, the minutes we're going to postpone until our next meeting is, we're revisiting them, shall we say. In the meantime, we're going to start off with the school. And I think you all heard, except for maybe Tom, that you got handed out a new proposed budget, a new default budget, and new copy of the warrant articles tonight. Because now they're all voted on, and so now we can vote on them. So I would like to turn our attention to which is first, the special ed budget, Brian?
Yeah, I think so.
If you can start us off with that number so that we can...
We're on page 7 of 26, and just to be clear, it's the one that was printed on December 11th, 2018. Okay, I'd like to move the total special education line for $1,653,883.72.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Tom?
May I assume that the budget that we were working from and where we voted on sections, that the sections we voted on are all the same,
Yes.
so we're only going back to sections that were either incomplete.
Correct. And rather than them reading us off numbers for us to write in, they
Got it.
very nicely produced a new set for us.
Good on that. Okay, thank you.
And 5 more trees went in the process,
So
but
I'm on
that's
page
okay.
7 with this number.
Does anyone have any questions about the special ed section?
It's the same number that we had on Saturdays.
Right. The special ed section contained the preschool, and that's one of the things that they needed to vote on at the joint board, and that number did not change. So it's the same number that we would have voted on Saturday. So seeing no question, or comments or whatever, Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes?
Betty?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. I forgot how many we got. 1, 2,
So I have 12 voters.
Thank you, because I never bothered to count them. I only listed them. Okay, so the next section that we need to do,
The next section is total SAU expense, page 17. And I'd like to move the total SAU expense line for $362,482.62.
Second.
we have a motion and second. Any discussion? We don't have a whole lot of say. For the newbies, we don't have any say, actually, in the SAU budget. That's for the board members with the joint board to deal with specifics. Yes, Scott.
I'm just asking, it won't matter, but do we get a copy of their actual detailed budget?
I don't know that we...
Or a copy of their financials?
I will check into that.
Because, no, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
like, what we're paying superintendent and these
Right.
different positions.
Right.
I'd like to just get an idea.
Yeah,
I do believe it's a public budget, I'm sure. We did hold a hearing on Monday, so that document could be public, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
we'll check into that. Any other discussion or questions on the SAU number? Okay, seeing none. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes?
Betty?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. Okay. 12-0.
Okay, the only other line is the bottom line, the grand total, which is on page 25.
And that is actually, we can move to our warrant articles, because that should be the amount that's on article number 2.
Exactly. So I'd like to move to recommend Article Number 2, shall the Northwood School District raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein totaling $11,443,583. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall total $11,390,083, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the Northwood School District or by law, where the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of revised operating budget only. The school board recommends this appropriation by a 5-0 vote.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I like the fact that the board has put on here that if the article passes, the tax impact is $16.99 per thousand. And if it doesn't pass, if the default budget passes, it's $16.88. So it's 11 cents difference between the default and the proposed. Scott?
Just, I had a question. So I'm for the budget, by the way, of this, but under that new statute, are we supposed to, what are we actually supposed to do with the default budget? Don't we
We review it, but
Okay.
we don't take action on it.
just review it? Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, we shall vote. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes?
Betty?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, so Article 2 is 12-0.
Ginger?
Yes, Tom?
There's going to be a discrepancy between the 12-0 vote on this item and the vote on Article 6. So at some point, we will explain that to the voters, why
Yes.
there was a 14-1, 15 people
Yeah.
voting.
Yep, because we were missing 4 people. Okay, moving on to Article 3.
I'd like to
Let's read it first.
Okay, shall the Northwood School District vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $480,000 for the construction and equipping of security-related improvements and renovations to the Northwood School, with $250,000 to come from new taxation and the remaining amount to be offset by a $100,000 grant from the state of New Hampshire, $70,000 from the Building Capital Improvement Capital Reserve Fund, and $60,000 from the June 30 fund balance available for transfer on July 1st This amount being the unexpended appropriation for a school resource officer in the fiscal year 2019 school district operating budget that will lapse on June 30th, 2019. The school board recommends this appropriation by a 4-to-1 vote. And I'd like to just note that Mr. Byrne, the Student Services Director, does have more information about this.
Mr. Byrne. I have to make sure it's on.
Okay, we had a question last time about the grant, whether it was allowed to be extended by the state. The answer to that is yes, we can extend the grant up to 2 years. However, that requires a affirmative vote on this article. You cannot extend it without the vote, which means if you decide not to vote yes on Article 3, that means you would forego the $100,000, and that would be a loss to the town. You would not be able to get that from the state. Yes.
So my question is, the reason I asked was because if this wasn't this year, I could possibly support this, but with the safety complex and this, so what you're saying is we would have to approve it or we don't get the grant, but it's kind of a...
The budget committee doesn't have to approve it, but town voters,
Oh,
this has to
okay,
pass
all right,
for town voters for us to keep $100,000 for 2 years.
gotcha.
Thank you for
Thank you.
clarifying.
Any other questions or discussion? I know we talked quite a bit about it Saturday to get as much information as they could give publicly, because after all, it is school security.
One more question, if you
Sure.
were, if the school board was to make the determination that they wanted to push this off for a year and not put it before the town, would you lose the grant then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Brad?
Losing the grant on this round doesn't mean that you can't reapply.
The grant would be gone, yes. They only got it for so long, and if we don't get it, the funds might not be available. That's the point that we're at now, because the only reason they can extend it for those 2 years is because that April deadline, what they'll do is they will encumber the funds to keep them so that we can use them later, but if we don't get it passed, they will not encumber the funds and they might not be available to us at a later date.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
We didn't get a second on
Yeah, Betty did.
We didn't hear it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Betty did. And you just voted yes, right? Okay. Ted?
Yes.
And Michael?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
No.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
I do have some concerns about the expenditure, but I'm going to vote yes.
Scott?
No.
And yes. So we are 10-2. Okay, and moving on to Article number 4.
I'd like to make a motion to approve or recommend Article number 4. Shall the Northwood School District approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Northwood Education Support Staff and the Northwood School Board covering the 3-year period from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2022, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing levels over those paid in the prior fiscal year. For the year 2019-2020, the estimated increase is $49,163. 2020 to 2021, an estimated increase of $45,786. For the years 2021 to 2022, an estimated increase of $42,032. And to further raise and appropriate the sum of $49,163 for the 2019-2020 fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributed to the increase in salaries and benefits over those of the appropriation at the current staffing levels paid in the prior fiscal year. The school board recommends this appropriation by a 5-0 vote.
Second.
You have a motion and second? Is there any discussion? Questions? No? Okay, seeing none. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. 12-0. Number 3. Number 5 is not one of ours, and we already did number 6. So we have completed the school. Woo-woo.
Yes.
And we'd like to thank you, John. You don't have to ask my permission, but since you did it, yes.
Raise your hand.
The rest of you may close quickly.
Thank you, I'll be seeing you later.
That's correct.
Yeah, I really want to know what you had at your luncheon today, I'll tell you. Well, I don't expect you to be. I know you are. So am I. I just think it's
So
funny
do we
as
have our,
First Saturday,
got the handouts?
all the town stuff.
So,
hell.
alright, I have two, this first packet is, for the air packs. And then we have another packet. Thank you. And this second one is the facilities committee packet, because we're gonna change that warrant article. And then this is just some corrections, because we added the change in the warrant article. That's for the apex.
No, this is for,
Thank you, sir.
hang on. I got,
Tax exempt, that's the company we're going to finance the apex.
that's the truck.
I'm sorry, I am wrong.
I got 2 trucks. What did you guys
Did you
get?
is that the one for the, okay, I'm sorry, here's the apex one. I forgot, I apologize. I
We need
forgot.
another
I
one
know,
of
but
these.
2 things came around and I got 2.
Now, what's this? This has the facility.
Brad needs yours.
I think Tom
Short
passed
account.
out the second one.
I'm working on job needed location.
Almost.
Good shot.
We would have come and get it, you know.
Oh,
Yeah, I was in the mood to give it a toss.
We need another one of the facility committee.
no, I didn't screw up.
Did you just grab mine? No, you won't. I can't trust you.
I don't know what is,
No, it's all right. I made a mistake. Give me that.
but I didn't get one.
Here you go.
Good. I'm walking out.
You didn't get one of these?
She needs that.
I need
yeah.
this,
Do you have
and I
one?
need,
And then we
We need
need
another
this.
one down here.
Okay, you get that.
Do we have another one of these?
There were 17 of each.
Okay, I got one.
who's got the rest of the
got
air
one?
pack?
I got the air pack right here.
Oh, well,
Shared.
There you go. All right, so that's the vehicle, the air pack, and that. Here you go. Is this the one you need a copy of?
Yes.
Here you go. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank
I
you.
just had to look through my stuff.
So we have 2. That's all we have?
you should
You
have.
should have 3. You should have, this is for the facilities committee.
Got that.
Okay.
The-
Well, one,
Tom's coming around with
One's,
something.
we have the new warrant article. We have the warrant articles that were reworded. So you got, what you should have is the facilities committee.
Yeah.
You should have the truck purchase.
Yep,
Okay. You should have the information on the air packs.
that's coming.
Okay, and again, me holding it up, and you're gonna get warrant articles that I have right here.
Okay.
It's just an updated list. It's all good.
We'll be here for a while tonight. We should have 4 things, right.
Did everybody get the tax exempt thing? Because I have an extra one here. Okay.
I'm checking right now. No, that's the one you took from me. I'll take that.
Fine. Sorry, bro.
That's all right, that's all right.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would suggest that we, since the deputy fire chief's here, so we don't have to keep him, I'd suggest that we start with the air packs.
We don't have the chief tonight?
We have the deputy chief.
The chief didn't make it tonight. Correct?
I don't see him in the audience.
Okay.
Are we doing fire department budget?
Yeah, we need to do the fire department budget
Is that
as well.
before the air packs or the air packs first?
Let me just get some notes quick. Good, I didn't miss anybody. Okay.
Would you like to start with the fire department operating budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, just so that we can get that
Sure.
cleaned up.
And,
And that begins,
page, thank you. And,
okay, so I had a list of
questions?
questions.
Yeah.
Do we have answers for those?
I will do my best.
Terrific. Come on to the microphone. Beat you to it, Gary. Okay, Rick, what you got for us? Do you want me to give you
Page at
the...
a time?
Yeah, we'll start
You wanna
with
just
page
go through the questions?
11. Yeah, we can go through the questions. On the 330 line, which is contracted services, what were the contracted services and why the overage?
Contracted services are MetroCast, and the Narrows Fire Station is free. We pay for the Ridge cable and internet. Comstar, which is our billing company, which does our ambulance billing, we have to pay them a fee. And then we get, it comes, when we charge for billing, they return they get their money, we get our money.
Right?
And medic intercepts, we had 7 so far this year. We have to pay, it's $550 if we call for a medic, if we don't have one of our own. So if we call for a paramedic.
Linda?
We want to put a motion on a second to, that's how you were doing it before, and then discuss that section in the budget.
That's right, that is how we did it, wasn't it?
I will move I'll move the fire department bottom line of, $660,721.
Second.
Who are we taking?
Thank you. Mike can have it.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry about that. So a medic, is that?
A paramedic.
paramedic?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
sorry. Sometimes we'll need to call a paramedic if we don't have one of our own that can do more services for a patient. And that costs us money. We have to pay the other department for their services.
Okay.
Another contracted service is the water bill that we have for the Ridge. And then emergency reporting, which is used for our fire alarm, to report our fires and stuff to the National Fire Incident Reporting System. And there was $12,500 in that line, I believe. And it was overspent because of the SMP architecture for the safety building from before.
I do,
That was split between the fire department and
And
the
the
police
PD.
department.
So that's why that one was overspent.
okay, terrific, thank you. The next line that I had a question on, and I've been given some information, but I'd like the whole committee to hear the answer, was on page 12, the cell phone and equipment line, the 343 line.
The cell phone is the chief and myself, and that bill is sent to Sandy Garrett, finance administrator. So I don't know how it gets spent.
Okay. The next one I had a question on was the 430 line, maintenance and repair for the building. What was done last year, what's proposed for this year? It appeared that, and maybe there is some outstanding invoices, but 41,000 was in the budget, of which so far a little over 10,000 was spent.
Correct,
And you've got
because
13,000 in the
the exhaust vent was put into the budget at the Ridge Station last year. And that's being worked on and should be
Yep.
done shortly.
Yep. Yeah, because that was pretty much all done except for having the electrician.
The
come in,
electrician,
wasn't it?
believe, came today to finish wiring. And then the Plymouth Vent Company will come out to do the operations part of it. Right now, the contractor came in and did the construction part of it. And we have to have an operations company come out. Well, same company, but an operations crew come out. And they do the test runs and they make sure everything is venting like it's supposed to. They hook up the adapters for the exhausts and stuff like
Make
that.
sure that they're fitting well and.
And make sure everything works on the tracks, so when the truck pulls out, it doesn't rip the stuff off the ceiling.
That
that
would
they
be
just
helpful.
installed.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, great, thank you.
So in 2018, we built some new cabinets for the medical supplies because our old metal ones were all rusted out. The doors were all broken. So we built new cabinets into the station, which are really nice.
They are.
We replaced the front door on the Ridge because that was rotting out. And it did not have any access to see the outside when someone comes to the front door. So you wouldn't know what you're opening the door to.
So that's the individual door, not the overhead door?
That is just the individual door, the
Yeah.
front door itself.
Yep.
We did painting around the stations. We did the railing at the narrow station because the old metal one was not safe. So now we have a nice new wooden one that's much more sturdier and safer. We've had the septics pumped, and then we've replaced the garage door opener at the Ridge. And then the exhaust system, which is almost complete. That's what we've done this year. In proposed for next year, we really need to replace the side door at the Narrows because that one is rotting away. And there's some rot around the windows down at the Narrows too that we've noticed behind the siding, so we might be replacing the windows down there. And we also will need to fix the bunk room floor at the Ridge just to get us through to hopefully the safety complex will be approved and we won't have to worry about the Ridge anymore.
The next one I had was the 560 line for dues. It just seems that the last couple of years, you've only spent about half of what's appropriated, so I didn't know if there were anticipated dues that,
Is that the Fire Chiefs Association? Or?
That's the firefighter association for all the members.
Yeah.
There is a separate one for the fire chief. The chief has been paying it himself right now because he didn't know that it could be paid for by the town, so. And there's some other associations that if members would like to join, which helps them with benefits and stuff in the long run, if there was an injury or something like that. We had a firefighter use that this past year, helped them with getting more money besides what they get covered by insurance. So through the association, it has a lot of benefits for them to join memberships and associations.
okay.
So that's why that line is that line.
Tools, hoses, etc., the 610 line. I don't know how frequently things get replaced. Seems like there's about that amount most every year. Slight increase this year.
Yeah, we're working on replacing radios and pagers with that line because we got a grant for all our radios before, and we don't want to run into the same situation that we have now with the air packs, where we have to try to replace them all at once. So we've been working on replacing radios. We started testing hose recently, and we found a lot of our hose needs to be replaced, so we've been working on that. We've replaced the gas meter for Rescue 1. We got some Knox box key holders to make the keys secure so that they don't disappear. Because if anyone got a Knox box key, they could enter any building in the facility. So we decided it'd be better to have them locked up under control. So only fire department members have access to that key. And again, we're working on the hoses. And so our proposed for next year is, again, the same thing. Replacing a couple of radios, replacing a lot of hose that needs to be redone, retested again, and replaced.
Okay. The next line I had was the 612 equipment for EMS. I can guess, but again, this is one of those lines that is very helpful for those of us who aren't up on fire and EMS stuff to know how it's going.
Okay. We get a lot of our EMS equipment, just the basic supplies we get from the hospital, like gauze pads and Band-Aids and stuff like that, for free. Well, it's not for free.
No.
Eventually it comes out in the patients. But we do need to buy supplies like the IO needles to insert for IVs and stuff. Those are $160 a piece for just one needle. And if we have a CPR code and we insert one of those, then we'd have to replace it, and that's $160 alone for an IO needle, which is just an easy IV access, is what an IO needle is for. I'll try to speak
Thank
a little
you.
English.
That I knew about because of my background, but I know that everybody else wouldn't know it.
And there's you know, gloves and oxygen, stuff like that. With the oxygen tanks, we have to lease the tanks. We don't use the oxygen as much anymore, but just to have the tanks, we have to lease them. And that's like $800 just to lease the oxygen tanks.
How many
themselves.
tanks do you have?
We have,
Those are on just the ambulances, right?
yeah. Well, there's also some in the jump bags on the engines also.
Okay.
Smaller ones.
Mhm.
So,
Okay,
but we always have to have it on hand just in case.
right.
So that's just miscellaneous supplies and stuff that we get from a company. So,
What's the difference between that and small medical supplies, the next line down? Or is it's all the same kind of stuff, it's just which line does it get applied to?
the small items, we used to have to pay for Band-Aids and gauze pads and all that, eye wash and stuff, but now with the hospital, we get it for free and stuff. So, and the gloves and stuff like that come under the small items. I think. Yeah.
Okay, the foam, which is line 615. I just noticed that nothing was spent this past year so far. Is that just because you didn't have need to use any, or?
Correct. We did not have as many fires that needed foam. And we keep a lot, we had a lot in storage.
Okay.
But it could change. We could have a big brush fire that needs a lot of foam, a big log pile, which we've had before. We had somebody start all the stumps behind there, and you can't put it out with just water, so we foam it all down.
Okay.
So we could go from having a bunch to needing a bunch. So that's why that line right now is kept it. We're at it as is, and
Makes sense. The next one I had a question on was 616, the rehab supplies.
Correct.
What are they? What are rehab supplies?
If we have a large fire,
Yeah?
we have to feed the firefighters and the EMS.
Ah, okay.
So we would buy Gatorade, water, sometimes food, depending on how long they've been there, if they need dinner, breakfast, lunch, whatever it is. So rehab supplies to keep the firefighters going.
I would never have guessed that that's what that was. That's why I asked it.
You know, and we buy water and Gatorade for
Sure.
all the members that are working on the scene of a fire or any big call that we would have.
Oh, yeah, makes absolute sense to me. I don't know about anybody else, but. The 620 line, the office supplies. Asking for the 2,600, but in the last couple of years, only 1,300 was spent, and this year so far, not quite 1,500. Is there something special that you didn't get, or?
No, we just got a new printer this year because we needed it. The other one would not print anything, wouldn't receive anything. Printer, fax, scanner, copier, the whole system.
Right.
We had to replace that. And the toner alone for that is $281 just to buy a toner cartridge for that. So,
Very. Okay.
I was told that if we needed to, we could drop that one down a little bit. But
Postage? New line?
no.
I thought everybody was going into
Yeah.
the town's postage. I'm sorry, not outside departments? Oh, okay, so library, fire, police have their own. Got it. Okay.
It should say $1, I was told. Because we don't use much postage at all anymore. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to change it. Office equipment, which is the 690 line. I'm guessing that that's where the printer came from?
Correct, yep.
Okay.
And we had to replace a desktop main computer. Mainstay had us replace it because it would not, we'd be using it and then we'd get the blue screen of death is what we called
Oh,
it.
yeah. Okay. I only had two more.
Okay, well, back on that last one you just asked me about.
Yeah?
According to Mainstays, the chief's laptop is supposed to be replaced
Okay.
coming up, so I believe it was this year, but if we need to do it next year, we will.
Okay. Fire hydrants, the 693 line.
Mm-hmm.
What's involved with that? I didn't know we had any other than a couple of...
We have dry hydrants.
Right.
We have dry hydrants. We don't have any wet hydrants anymore.
Right.
There is I think there's still a couple, but we do not use them because of the water district. We have dry hydrants, which we replace. We did Bow Lake recently. The one right on the end of the road here. The dry hydrants we pull up to and we draft out of the pond or the river or the lake. And the dry hydrant makes it easier for us to draft, is what you call it, to get water. So we replaced a couple and we're looking to replace a couple more. Some of them have been installed since the 70s, and the pipes are all clogged, broken, cracked. So when we go to draft out of them, we end up with mud at the pump. So we've been replacing them, like the Bull Lake one that we did this past year. So we have to buy the pipe, the fittings, and the adapters to do that. So that's what that line entails.
Okay.
We are looking to replace the one on Green Street and the one at Northwood Meadows. Because the one at Northwood Meadows, we can get water out of it, but it gives us a hard time. And the Green Street one, it needs to be raised a little bit and cleaned up on the other end. Putting a screen around it and stuff sometimes helps.
Right.
Getting it up out of the mud if it is sunk down in.
My last question.
Okay.
The training line.
Mm-hmm.
What didn't we train? We've got 2,000 left over, almost 2,000 left over.
Yeah, we have a couple people that are looking to take their advanced EMT, which is the next level. That'll help us save on paramedic intercepts. So if we train our own people, we don't have to pay money out later on. So we would like, an AEMT class is $1,500. And if we have any new members start that don't have EMT and want to get EMT, that's $1,200 for a class there, so we can get them certified. And then firefighter classes are quite a bit also. Depends on the class you take. So if we have new members, we need to pay for their training and stuff.
Well, that exhausts my questions, now that I've monopolized the time. Does anyone else have any questions on the fire department lines? Thank you very much, Greg, for those explanations.
I told you I would do the best I could.
And you did a great job as far as I'm concerned, and if we had had this written in on the page, you wouldn't have had to go through this trial by torture.
That's fine.
Okay, any other questions on the fire department? Okay, we've got a motion and a second for $660,721. I'm trying to remember. Did we do these by all in favor? No. We did them by...
We were doing them raising hands.
We were doing raising hands, that's what I mean. Okay. All in favor of $660,721 for the fire department? Raise your hands. Any opposed? Okay. What did you say?
We were actually saying aye, and it's
same
doesn't matter.
thing.
Everybody voted in affirmative.
That's right, everybody did. Okay, so with 12-0.
11-0-1.
Oh, sorry.
I abstained.
You did abstain. I gotta get this peripheral vision checked over here, so. 0. Okay, that was the only thing that we had.
Well, no, you got the air packs.
No. I'm just thinking that was the only thing we had for the, to be able to complete the operating budget.
That's the only thing you were waiting for on the operating budget.
Okay, so the operating budget in our warrant articles that we just got,
So I'll read
while we've got that book open, we might as well.
Sure. I'm going to move Article 2, and I'll read it into the record. Shall the town raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amounts set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by the vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein. totaling $3,752,373. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $3,616,815, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of town or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Tax impact, 28 cents.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we need any further discussion? Okay, seeing none?
Ms. Chairman, may I speak?
You may.
The number of your budget, you guys changed the number on that Saturday, so your budget total for the budget committee does not equal that warrant. You had added $300 to the budget.
We what?
Added $300 to the budget on the Saturday session.
You made some minor changes.
Right.
In a couple
So
areas.
your new budget number is actually $3,760,658.
Can you repeat that slowly, please, Sandy?
$3,760,658. That's what the warrant number 2 needs to be changed to.
Those changes were in the executive office, is that correct?
Didn't you just pass this out though tonight?
Yes, but they hadn't voted on that bottom line. They had to vote bottom line
I
first.
gotcha.
And then we have to change the warrant.
I gotcha.
You didn't
We didn't vote on the bottom line.
Right, we couldn't vote on the bottom line because we didn't have the fire department.
Right, but we should do that before we vote on the warrant.
So, do you want us to rescind or amend our motion?
I'm trying to, yeah, rescind, I would say.
I'll rescind my motion.
It's all rescinded.
You don't know what you changed it to?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
They're all,
On page 3?
For printing and admin costs for elections, you added $200 to the $1,800. So that brought that department up to $2,432.
Yeah, I do see that.
And then on page, I think it was 9. Might have been 6. Yeah, on page 6, you added $100 to the training line for the budget committee. So that brought that department total up to $1,011. And that brings the total budget up to, thank you, we'll spill that all over the table. And that brings the total budget up to $3,760,658.
And I will move that new number.
Hold on. Wasn't there a change, on page 3,
yes,
on the finance and...
financing and several others along
You
that
put the
line.
finance number,
That's
Linda's,
in that.
it's in.
It's already in there. They didn't change it, yeah. They didn't change page 3. Page 3 had the change for the budget for elections right above it. It was the $200 that was
But we
added.
included the salary changes for those
It's-
two positions.
It's in the budget that they're voting now. Yep, it's already there.
It's fine.
I had my notes that it went up to 6,044 from 597,730. I don't know why.
Well, she puts the budget together, so she would know if it was in there or not.
Well, right, because you guys are looking at a budget that was printed back when?
I think
The 19th of November.
What you're seeing, you're
So-
looking at a note on a particular line, and I think she read the bottom line for finance administrator on page 4.
Do you remember I brought new budgets that Saturday and I handed out the new ones? The new ones had that in there.
Okay,
So you're
gotcha,
working from
yeah.
the old budget.
Yep, I'm with you. I didn't turn the page.
Okay, so the new number should be $3,760,658.
That's on page 25, right?
Yes.
All right.
Could I have you repeat that number one more time, please?
Yeah, $3,760,658. No senses.
So does that change the default number?
Yeah, no, because the default number is based on last year's numbers plus
Right.
adjustments.
Okay.
Okay, does everybody have the new number? And are there any questions?
And I moved the new number.
You did,
You second.
and Betty seconded. So now we could vote.
Can I just ask a question of Sandy?
You may.
That number that you're reading, does that include those salary changes? Because it doesn't appear that it does.
Yes, the new budget passed up that Saturday.
Well, they
Reacted on it.
they did not get that budget.
They did, they got it on the Saturday of the meeting.
It was never handed out to them.
There was a whole pile of them.
I know, but it was requested that we not hand them out by the budgetary chairman.
Right, because they were told that they could get them at, no, they,
So what's the date of the budget?
No,
here?
I thought you
The
said,
budget that I handed out, that I gave and handed out is dated 11/28. And my bottom line before the adjustments the budget committee made, with no salaries, was $3,763,358.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
300, so it's $3,766,358. And that includes those salaries, those are the ones that were printed salaries.
and the day when she had them, we had already gotten the previous one, which was dated the 21st. And rather than flipping from one to another, because if you had questions, you would have already highlighted them. And I probably was, or I guess I was not very loud when I said, grab it on your way out. My fault, I apologize.
No, I recycled.
So, read the new number again, please.
$3,760,658.
So is there a stack of 11/28 budgets sitting someplace?
So that does match the number I have.
yeah, because there's
Because
an
I
extra,
have that-
there's
I
an,
have
yeah,
that.
there's an extra $8,000 in that motion.
Right.
So that should be the changes.
Okay. So, I asked if there was any discussion and nobody said anything except for Sandy.
So,
I'm glad you did.
so we can vote now.
We can. Are we ready to vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Since the bottom line is the same as the warrant, we're just going to do a ballot vote. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
I missed Ted, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
that's why.
Did you guys, I switched you on my list, I'm sorry.
That's okay, I say yes.
You're here, I know you are. Eric?
Yes.
That's what happens when I'm writing fast. Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, so we got 12-0.
I just want to clarify, was there a motion and a second on that?
There was a motion by me and a second. I did not read the warrant article again because we were just changing the
Okay.
amount.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to clarify that.
It was second by
I want to make sure
Betty.
that,
Yeah, and Betty seconded it.
Yes.
thank
Okay,
you.
so we're done with the budget. So now
let's
we can
suggest-
go to the warrant articles and we can discuss the
Air packs.
air packs.
So, Greg, Deputy Chief Greg LeBlanc's here, and you should have this packet right here. It's Firematic Supply Company, has a quote on it. So you have that. The first page is the shows you what they're buying, the quantity, the quantity of the amounts of stuff they're buying. If you turn, so that first page is $150,830. you go on the next page, then these are a couple other equipment items that are related to the air packs for a total of $36,870. So then, what we did is we went out and got 3 quotes from lease purchase quotes from finance companies and banks. And if you turn to this last page, so we have the very last page. There's a little. So we went to got quotes from Tax Exempt Leasing Corp, U.S. Bank, and First Bankers. The best rate was from Tax Exempt Leasing Corp. So, and this is the part I want to explain. So if we were to buy it today, the rate would be 3.95, slightly below 4%, and the payments would be approximately $40,503.42. That being said, the department also applied for a grant through FEMA. We will not hear from that grant, so the idea is to only borrow this if we don't get the grant approval. So we might, the FEMA might fund the whole thing, it might not, we don't know yet. So what I wanted to explain is, if the interest rates change while we're waiting to hear whether we receive the grant, this percentage could go up a little bit. I don't think it's going to go down because the trend is going up a little. So what we did in the warrant article, we put $45,000 in anticipation in case the warrant article went up a little bit. And the plan is to spread this warrant article over 5 years. So instead of paying $187,700 in one lump sum, we're going to spread that over a 5-year payment, and there is an escape clause in the lease agreement. And I believe Greg brought an air pack to kind of show everybody what we're talking about. If you want to show everybody, Greg.
First, I'll pass out a packet for people to read about it, look at it. We don't have color printer anymore. So pictures of black and white.
Wow.
Is, this for one? Is this for one air pack?
No,
I mean,
18.
18 air packs.
And one cascade system.
Thank you.
That was 30. The second page.
Share with me. No.
We had several companies come out. We had Innispiro come out, Draeger, Scott, which is the current company we have, and MSA. After we did all the demos with all the companies, we sat down as a group, a company. There was 6 of us on the committee for Apex.
Microphone?
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised that Gary didn't tell you that. Yeah.
Question?
We
Can I put them on the table?
Yeah, push that stuff up, and then you can put them right up on the table. I can't reach that far right over myself. Thank you, Brian.
Again, we had several companies come out, Scott, MSA, Draeger. And after the committee was done seeing all the demos, this is our current pack, Scott. It's self-contained breathing apparatus, that's SCBA. In the warrant article, it should probably say that for the townspeople, not just SCBA, it should say self-contained breathing apparatus, so that they would know what's going on.
So we probably should amend that and actually do a final warrant.
So, currently we have Scott. these packs here, after they were hydro tested the last time, they cannot be hydro tested again, which is the tank itself. The tanks have to be hydro tested. Because of the composite and the steel, they cannot be hydro tested anymore after 2020. That is the reason we're trying to get new air packs. So after we saw all the demos, MSA was the best one that came to us. I've had Scott since I've been on the department for 25 years, since I started. I wanted to stay with Scott until I saw MSA and the improvements that they had. They blew away the Scott Air Pack. Just for, you know, the cancer, the breathing apparatus. On our current packs now, this here gets plugged into your face piece, which you put on your face, and there is no separation from the previous user. If someone had this pack before you did, before you picked it up. We try not to do that. Usually everyone has their own pack, but for some reason, in case of an emergency or something, if you were to borrow this regulator, there's nothing to stop you from getting the air that was recirculated through this back into your face, into your piece. So with MSA, they have separation, or yeah.
A buffer.
Yeah.
Let me doubt goes buffer.
They have a screen built into the respirator itself and into the mask. I didn't kick it. Stupid microphone.
Would you like me to hold the mic for you?
No.
Greg, I can.
If you look into the mask here,
Just yell. We'll hear you.
Susan's here.
I didn't bring my mask in, but my mask it was buried in, under my gear in the truck. I got it. My mask on the front, if you see where the face piece connects in, on our mask that we have now, it's wide open to your face. It's just a nose piece on the inside. This one here, as you can see, has filtration. That's the word I was looking for. So I'll pass that around. That's the MSA mask. Also built into the MSA packs is a built-in microphone to amplify your voice when you're trying to talk into a radio. If you were wearing the mask and you were trying to talk, you'd be yelling at me to get a microphone. So that's what they have. They have microphones built right into the pack itself to help enhance your voice. To answer your question, we're going for 14 normal packs like this one, and we're going for 4 other packs which have thermal imagers built right into the pack, which is another piece of equipment that we usually have to buy separate, a thermal imager camera. It's called a TIC. I believe there's a picture of it on page 3 in your pamphlet there. I think it was 3.
Yeah.
It's built right into the regulator system itself. So all the firefighter has to do when he has the pack over his shoulder is, like if he was checking his pressure in his pack, is just point it, and that's the thermal imager. So there'll be 4 packs, so each piece of apparatus will have a thermal imager built right into one of the packs. So we have a total of 18 packs that we're going for with this warrant article. The MSA pack is built so that it can fit people a lot better. Right now we have 2 girls on our department, 2 ladies, excuse me, that have become firefighters. And the Scott pack, the waist pack does not adjust at all. On the MSAs, the waist belt adjusts. So it's just a nice and quick, easy. And that can adjust for them to wear it on their waist a lot better. So when they're wearing a pack. So if we have a 6-foot guy and he's wearing the pack, he can have it all the way down so that the back will sit on the waistband like it's supposed to and be a lot more comfortable for the wearer.
Greg, is the, just clarification, are the packs gonna be, is the idea to make each person have a signed pack, or that doesn't really matter as long as they got the face mask?
It doesn't really matter as long as they have a face mask with the filtration through it. If we get the grant that we're going for, everyone should have their own pack. But right now, we're filling every piece of equipment that we have with the packs. That's why we're going for 18. Plus spare balls to change them out.
So does anybody got any more questions for the deputy chief?
Yeah, I have two. I've doing some checking, and my understanding is that in order to use these packs, you're supposed to be certified in the use, much the way a scuba diver would be certified?
Correct, yes.
Okay, how many certified members do we have currently?
Just went over this the other day. 14?
14, and you got one for each vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
You have 16. You have 16.
Right, there's 16 members that are
16
firefighter
members that
certified.
are certified?
Almost everyone, except for, we have 4 EMS personnel that are not certified to wear an air pack.
Okay, so that was question one. My second question is, when do you anticipate hearing about the FEMA grant?
It's like 5 or 6 months, right? It could be.
Yeah, we made it through the first round, from what I've heard, so that means the application was complete and correct.
That's always a help.
That gets you through the first round, I guess. If
Right.
that's not done, then you get kicked right out. I was told anywhere from spring till September, summer, end of summertime. We would not know until then.
And that's why when you look at the warrant article, there's a difference of $5,000 between the quote in there, because we put a cushion in there in case we wait several months and the interest rate goes up slightly to cover the additional cost per year.
So what is the amount of the grant that you've applied for?
My understanding is, well, in the packet, there is the actual grant
But-
application.
Haven't had a chance to look at that.
242,350.
So if they get that, if we get that grant from FEMA,
The application share
Yeah.
is $11,540.
Now I'm really confused.
was, so on the grant, we put in a grant for that, but wasn't there a portion that the town had to come up for a match or something, or were they gonna pay 100%? I'm trying to remember.
I believe the $11,540 is the share that we would have to
It's
pay.
the only part we have to
Yep.
pay. And other than that, if we get awarded this grant, other than the amount, 11,000, the grant would pay for the remainder of the packs. So what the plan is we're hoping to get the grant, but if we don't get the grant, our backup plan is to do the 5-year lease purchase.
So are you going to wait until you hear about the grant before you purchase these, or are you going to purchase and then just pay off the lease if you get the grant?
I'm not sure how that's going to work. We're hoping the grant comes in sooner than later.
If we get the grant, well,
Well,
if
April
we
to
get- if we-
September
yeah, if we
sounds
get the-
like it's
yeah, if we
March
get the
meeting.
grant, well, those packs are still good for a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those packs
All right.
aren't dead yet.
Right.
They're good
They
for
just
another
can't be
year.
recertified again
So
once
our
they
thing,
run
our
out.
thing is, if
In
we get the
2020.
grant, we don't have to get the loan.
Agreed.
But, if we don't get the grant, we can't wait another year. They can't wait another year after this year not to buy the packs. We have to start, and my understanding was that the company said they wouldn't piecemeal the packs. They thought, they said. it was all-
You'd end up paying more to piecemeal
Usually that's the
than to
case.
go all at once. You can't get the discounts, you can't get the deals if you just buy a couple at a time. They're not going to give you the price if you would buy the large amount.
So if you look at the warrant, we're asking for a 5-year lease purchase with the escape clause. The first payment for this year would be 45,000, you put 45,000 in there just in case the interest rate went up slightly.
So, Brian,
Sorry to be doomsdayer, but like in the absolute worst case scenario, if the warrant fails and the grant application fails, how many of these packs are going to expire this year? Like, what's the...
They do not expire. We have 20 bottles that expire in May of 2020. And then we have 8 bottles that expire in April of 2020.
Okay.
So 2020,
So you'd see this warrant article next year again if it fails.
correct.
When you say the bottles expire, can you replace bottles and retain the equipment? Or does the whole thing expire?
The whole thing expires, yeah. Because if you notice this on here,
It gets worn out, you know.
the red
thing.
mark means it got too hot. So this whole pack needs to be replaced soon. Too much heat. Changes the black
But
to
you
red.
can't just replace bottles
No.
like you can propane cylinders.
No.
How long does the air last in these?
Depends what kind of shape you're
When I
in.
used to be, when I used
What
to
kind
be
of
on the
work you
fire
do?
department, how fast would I go through one of those bottles?
It depends on what kind of work you're doing and what kind of shape you're in. And if you're used to it, if you panic when you're wearing a mask, it could be 10, 15 minutes you need to get a
Some
new
people
bottle.
last a half hour.
Some people can use the whole time rate, 45-minute bottles.
So the rate is 45?
Yeah.
Are there other questions? Okay, I just have one other one, Greg. You'd indicated that you had several different companies come in.
Correct.
Did you get quotes from each of those, or did you just get a quote from the company?
No, we
whose
got
equipment-
quotes from Interspear and Draeger, I believe. Where those ended up, I do not know, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, I
They're not-
briefly looked through and
they're
I
not-
didn't see them in the
other
pack.
quotes are
Right.
not included in this packet.
Right.
This was the, well, I'll just say, they got 3 quotes, and we didn't just go, I think we went on a, not just lowest bid, but all around, what's the best package for the fire department.
What we have to do is, if you have an MSA company, there might be a couple, but only one person services this area. So you have to go with that company, which is Firematic for MSA. For Scott, it is, what are they? I can't remember.
But it's
there's-
not one that we're going to deal with anyway at this point.
Correct. But you can't get 3 bids from an MSA company. You have to get 3 bids from different companies. So that's why we only brought you the 1 bid from the MSA company, the company we're going with.
Okay.
Because they will not deal, they will not work out of their area.
So
This,
why
the guy we're
this-
going, Firematic, goes from New York all the way up to the top of Maine.
Okay. So why this particular unit versus the others you looked at? Why is
Because-
this better?
Because of the features that they offer now and the upgrades that they brought.
And those are the things you've already shown us?
Correct.
Okay.
The mask with the filtration built right in to help. The regulator locks in 2 different places so it can't pop out on you. The ticks built right in. With the Scott packs, the ticks are built and they block your vision. With the MSA, they don't because they're built right into your harness. So there's no vision being blocked when you're fighting a fire also. Just the features that they've brought have exceeded Scott's. Scott, when the dealer came in, he did not impress me. And like I said, I've had Scott since I've been in here in the town of Northwood on the department. And MSA, the pitch that he brought us, the demo he showed us, and the quality of the product itself is exceeding the other companies that we had.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
I'm just curious how often you use these in the fires that you find in Northwood. In other words, you wouldn't need one for necessarily a car fire by the side of the road.
Yes, you would.
Yes, you would.
Any fire.
They use them all the time.
Chimney fire, when you're up on the roof helping clean the chimney for the person, you need a pack on. Yep.
Okay.
Car fire, you need a pack on. Brush fire, no, you don't need a pack
You
for
don't,
brush fire.
you don't want, when they're fighting the fire, you don't want them breathing in the carbon dioxide, so that's
Right.
why they have the mask on all the time.
Any smoke is bad smoke.
Which makes sense. Thank you very much, Greg.
And sometimes it's not smoke, sometimes it's CO, carbon dioxide.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. That was a really good presentation.
Good presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you
you.
very much for your time and your efforts. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So,
Oh,
Question of Scott.
of Scott.
Yeah.
Okay. You
Given
have the
any
hook.
consideration to moving this up with the rest of the fire department stuff closer to the front instead of on the tail end? being-
we haven't decided that yet. We'll talk about it. I can tell you right now that the big focus for the town this year is the fire out, the new station and police station, the safety complex. So, you know, I can't guarantee where that'll exactly be on the warrant.
All right, so I have one other question then. Let's assume for the moment that you get the full FEMA grant.
Yeah.
If
This is
this
null and
article
void.
says, if this article goes down,
Yeah.
then you can't use that grant?
No, then we won't be using.
I'm just thinking,
I'm asking. Well, no. If this goes down, because we're asking to do a lease purchase.
well,
If I get a grant that's going to pay for the whole thing, except for $11,000.
Having the grant doesn't mean you have to have a encumber the funds.
Yeah, 'cause-
The problem with this school was they were wanting to encumber the funds.
Here's the thing.
Which mean that they had to have had permission to spend.
Say we wanted to roll the dice,
yeah,
and we says, you know what, we're not even. We think we're going to get the grant. We wouldn't even have to put this warrant article in here because then we would give
okay.
them revenue to
I just
spend.
wanted to be sure about that.
I mean,
And you have the authority to spend any
Yeah.
monies that come
Right,
down.
exactly.
I mean, we can run that just to be on the safe side. We can run it by DRA report. I don't think that should be an issue, but let's ask the question just to be on the safe side. So I will, if it's okay, I'll move.
We just gotta find, it's Article 21.
Yeah. Where's my warrant? So I will make a motion to approve Article 21, Fire Department, SBCA, which we were going to spell that out in the original article, to see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 5-year lease purchase agreement for $187,700 for the purpose of leasing the fire department SBCA equipment and to raise an appropriate amount of $45,000 for the first year's lease payment. This lease agreement contains an escape clause. Tax impact is 40 cents.
Second.
Is that tax impact on the whole 187, or is that on the 45?
It's on the 45.
Really?
Seems kinda high.
Seems
Sandy,
high.
when you
Seems
did
high.
did you do the calculation, was the tax impact on the 45?
It can be.
187.7.
What?
187.7
Well, in the thing it says the tax impact's 40 cents.
against the 187.7.
Right.
Against
Oh, it's the whole thing,
I
okay.
don't know.
But when you just want to show the tax impact for the
If you want
45,
to show them what the whole warrant would be if they wrote that warrant.
yeah, but they're only gonna pay 45,000 this year.
It's kind of misleading.
Yeah,
But you're borrowing 187.7. You need to show.
Yeah, but I guess what he's saying, and I kind of get it too, that's not gonna be the tax impact. The tax impact's gonna be 1/5 of,
One-fifth.
1/5
That's
of
the way
it.
they are. That's the way we've always done it. Every one of them are like that.
Okay.
I mean, I can go back and change that if you want.
No, is that what DRA tells us we have? Is that the way DRA says we have to show the total amount?
for the total,
So-
not for the amount being raised each year.
It's kind of tough for voters to
Kind of
discern.
appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Well, just the understanding is if DRA,
All right, so what if we did this? What if on those warrant articles, if DRA says we have to show the 40 cents in this particular case?
you could say 40 cents for the whole thing.
For the whole thing,
But this
and-
year's only
and-
gonna be like,
Exactly.
Yeah, 2019 is going to be.
Right, which makes a difference in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
Can
But-
we do that?
you know
We
what?
don't necessarily have to show.
I gotta ask you a question, Cindy. Maybe that's the way we've done it,
Right?
but when I get my tax bill, my tax impact's only gonna be 8 cents.
Right, and
Yeah.
next year's warrant for the lease payment is gonna show the 8 cents.
Yeah.
This one should
I mean, if you
This
put
one
in,
should too.
You're showing,
Maybe you should say, let's call DRA, because I think that might not be correct.
Okay, because
And-
that's pertaining to the other one too, so.
Well, let's
I
see,
think we don't have
we
it.
can just ask a question. I think it's gonna be easier to convince the voters for 8 cents and 40.
yeah, you're showing a warrant article.
Because if
for
somebody
50
says, oh, wow,
cents.
that's only 8 cents versus 40 cents, that's a big
It's
difference.
a big
Yeah.
difference. Linda?
And shouldn't the 45,000 be put numerically?
Yeah, that's it, numerical, I guess.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
We know we gotta tweak this one a little bit. We actually have to say what, SBCA, we're gonna actually spell that out.
Well, and it's in your
And
back.
RA for road agent, please spell that out.
Oh, it's on SBC, yeah. Oh,
I just filled in the blanks.
I wondered about
Let's get a
that.
dog
I'm
catcher
trying
and
to
a
figure out, okay, self-breathing
I didn't write
contained.
Okay, let's vote.
Okay.
So it's not self-breathing? No.
No.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions or discussion about Article 21? Besides the things that they're gonna check. Okay, seeing none. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Ted says yes.
I gotta switch that right now before I screw it up again.
Did you guys
Eric.
do that on purpose?
No, Ginger did that on purpose, well, by accident. Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes, 12-0. Actually, I did that just to see if anybody was paying attention to
Who
me.
seconded that?
Linda, who was the second on
That was
Me?
that? Betty, okay.
Article 22 dealing with Keno does not have a dollar figure, so
We don't have to
that.
deal
Go
with
ahead.
it.
I'm so happy to hear that.
All right, so we need to go back to, let's see, Article 3.
The Facilities
we have
Committee.
to wait. And,
the one, we have the one for the,
yeah,
truck.
we can do 15.
So we have the truck
10.
on.
Well, it used to be Article 10. Is it still Article 10?
Yeah.
Okay. Article 10, folks.
No, I gotta figure out what I did with it. Stuck it in the book here.
Oh, thanks.
So you wanna do Article
Thank you very
10?
much, Dave. We appreciate it.
No, all smoke is bad smoke.
All bad smoke.
All bad smoke.
Okay, I'll make the motion, then we can talk about it.
Okay.
So Article 10, highway dump truck lease. To see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 7-year lease purchase agreement for $161,670 for the purpose of leasing a new highway dump truck and to raise an appropriate amount of $26,106 for the first year lease payment. This lease agreement contains an escape clause. And I'm assuming that that's going to be the same thing, that's for the whole 161, and you would just divide that, the 161 by 7, and that would actually be the tax impact for the first year. And,
Second.
and if there's the discussion, I have you should have a packet like this. The front page has tax exempt lease corp. So I believe, I don't believe, they looked at 2 different trucks and they decided to go with the International. So if you go into here, there should be a quote on the truck they want to buy and the description of yeah, well, it's on page 2 through, kind of lists what everything's going to be on the truck.
Getting it from Liberty, huh?
Yes. So, if we do, and the term is, we got a 5-year and a 7-year, but there was such a small difference in the interest rate that we decided to throw the payments out for 7 years, which actually drops the payment by, just under, like around $9,000 cheaper to do it over 7 years. And the, difference in the interest rate is, minimal. So we thought, it'd be less of a, hit on the taxpayers if we spread the payments over 7 years.
Automatic transmission on a dump truck.
So, and this is gonna be, a plow truck with a 10-foot dump body, and we're also gonna have a front, it's gonna have the side wing too. That's one of the issues we're dealing with now. The current truck is pretty, well, Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we put about approximately $25,000 in repairs for the current big dump truck? Yeah, so this year we actually spent about $25,000 in maintenance just to keep that truck so we could use it. So it's actually, the truck's kind of ran its course, and it's not financially efficient to keep dumping all that money into repairs into an older truck. So that's another reason that we decided to move forward with this
So
year.
it looks like the yearly payment of $26,000 is a mere $1,000 more than the maintenance was.
Yes,
Good point.
so, and we actually do need a new truck.
Scott, are you replacing the one that you've been pouring all the money into, or that's still
Well,
service?
yeah, I asked, well, when I say I, the Board of Selectmen asked the appointed road agent to look to see what the possible trading value on that truck. It still has a value, but we don't think that's efficient for the town to keep dumping the money in there. And, but we are going to look into what we could get for trading.
How old is that truck?
Do you know how old the current truck is?
Just wondering how
It's a 2006 or 2007. So
Yeah,
it's
we've
over-
had it for a
it's
long
It's over
time.
10 years old.
so 7 years lease is not an unreasonable.
No, those
Lifespan.
trucks, those diesel engines last a lot long. I mean, it's diesel. Those hold up very well.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone have any questions about this article, Article 10? What was the other, you've got the international, and who was the other one?
Cindy, do you recall what the other bid was?
I don't know.
I'm just wondering what make.
We have that information. I can
Okay.
get you that and for your next meeting. We do have another quote.
No, I'm just curious,
I'm sorry, I don't remember. But if the committee would like, we can get that information.
no, not that big a deal. So, I'm just curious, that's all. Tom?
So if the Highway Equipment Capital Reserve Fund has $68,000 in it,
Yeah.
and you want to put another 18.5 in it, and you want to at least purchase this truck over 7 years, what are you holding, what's the Highway Equipment Capital Reserve Fund?
I'm going to defer that question to Sandy. What was,
No, why aren't we taking his
why are we
payment out
taking
of
some of
that?
that payment out of there?
For the truck?
Yeah.
It's because,
Is there a reason? Is there something else?
well, we have a
Highway vehicle capital reserve too, but that has nothing in it. That one's for equipment. This is a truck. Now, I can't answer why they wouldn't do that, but to me, the backhoe would be equipment, so I don't know. I can't answer why they didn't do that.
Is the backhoe payment coming out of the other fund? I'm trying to remember.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
To be perfect.
I gotta find the page.
I'm gonna imagine, I'm gonna put out there. that-
No, it's being raised and appropriated.
Yeah, I can look into that. I will tell you that we've gone through a significant turnover in town positions this year, and there could have been a possible
Fallen through the
disconnect,
cracks.
fall through the cracks, and I'll openly admit that to the committee. So Sandy, could we maybe look to see if we could take some money out of that? Like, why would you put, I'm just asking, I'm trying to remember, why would we put another 18,000 in there if we have 68? Was there a reason, I'm trying to think, did the road agent have something that you think we were gonna set money aside for?
I don't know that.
And
I don't know that. Right now.
Good, report back to us.
You can check it out.
All right, what I would like to suggest,
I think we should approve it tonight,
that's what I was gonna
and
suggest.
then we can
And if the
fix it on the
fund-
floor at town meeting.
No, we can fix it on the 3rd if you discover that you're going to fund it by taking the money out of a capital.
And actually,
Reserve
that
account.
capital reserve thing would take a little more pain out of the tax implications.
Right, right. So my suggestion is that we vote on it because of the intent. We have the dollar amounts. It's simply a matter of,
Agreed.
are we going to get it for a little less impact on the tax rate? And you can let us know when we meet again on the 3rd of January for a cleanup.
Yep.
No? Why
You're
can't
not
we?
having another meeting before then, are you?
We could have a meeting to get the numbers for the safety complex.
We're meeting on the 3rd of January
Yeah.
for that.
No, they're gonna have a meeting.
What?
Sandy said you weren't meeting.
Oh, no, we're having that quick, short meeting for the, we have to have a meeting for the encumbrance.
Yeah, that
We
Friday.
have to have a month, so we just tack that into the encumbrance meeting.
I was told nothing was.
Yeah.
No, we have to have a meeting because we have to approve the encumbrances before year end.
Right.
Good.
So what I'll say is we can roll that item into that meeting too.
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure that there wasn't contingent on something that couldn't occur.
No, we do have to
Oh,
have,
no,
we do have to have one more
See,
meeting.
that's what I have the big mallet for, is to remind the selectmen that they have to have a meeting. Like it or not. Okay, any other questions on Article 10? Excuse me. Seeing none, we shall vote. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
See, I fixed it. Michael?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes, and I would like Tom for bringing that up to, bringing that to my attention.
Mm-hmm. You did good, Tom. Okay, the only other one that I can see that we can do,
Oh, we have one more, we do have to fix the roof on Town Hall.
No,
Oh, we don't?
no.
Oh, all right, I guess I'm wrong again.
Yeah, they already voted that one, I think.
Yeah, but I thought we had to add another 10,000 in there.
No, I went searching for the paperwork for that.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything in the other office, so I called Mr. Bailey, and he and Mr. Bass and a couple members of the team climbed on the roof this past year, and said, no, it just needs to be patched a little bit there and around the chimney, and the roof is.
So we don't need to fix the roof. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
so are we referring to Article 15?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying then is the 17,750?
Is okay.
Well, then I'll wait your motion.
Right, Sandy, the 17,750 is all we need. Okay.
There's a backup for that,
Yeah, there is, yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
there is backup. It's that one, thank you.
3 things for the library. Well, you need to
Yeah.
make your motion first.
Okay, sorry. So I'd like to move Article 15, Facilities Committee Expendable Trust Deposit, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $17,750 to be deposited into the Facilities Committee Expendable Trust Fund previously established for the maintenance, improvement, repairs, and replacement of general government buildings. Tax impact is 4 cents.
Second.
Okay, we have a
And-
motion and a second.
You should have one other packet, where on thing, it'll say Facility Committee warrant article, so it lists out 4 projects that the committee recommended to do in the upcoming fiscal year. So there's gonna be a paving overlay of the parking lot at Chelsea Memorial Library. Just thanks.
We know what you
I'm
meant.
having a rough night.
Well, you expended all your energy at the beginning of the
I
meeting.
know, I'm just like, sorry. And then same seal coating in the parking lot. We do have to, when we get the prisoners to do work at town, we do have to provide food for them. And then it'll be painting the exterior of the library. And some correspondence, kind of like some of the backup is in here. There's a quote from Manchester Paving and Excavation for the,
And the library provided us these
yes,
as well.
but,
So
I've got a question.
what's the
But go
difference
ahead.
between, looks like you're gonna pave the library parking lot, and it looks like you're gonna seal coat the library parking lot.
That was my question.
And
Which one are we doing? Why?
why do you, anybody know?
Why are we seal coating and
I mean,
paving?
if there was a section of the parking lot that didn't need to be repaved, and you're gonna seal coat it, and there's a section that was seriously in need of being repaved, and you're gonna repave it, that would make sense.
I can't answer that, I'm not on the facilities committee.
My understanding
This is the recommendation from the facilities
I understand.
committee.
when Donna presented this,
Why can't you seal?
on that first Saturday,
Can't you
she,
seal coat it a couple months after you pave it?
you shouldn't need to.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about paving, so.
Well, you voted for it, so.
Wasn't this the, let me see if it's in here.
Damn it, I guess stop relying on these volunteer committees, that's the problem.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Well, you know, the other thing is, there's a cheap way to go, which is to seal coat it. And there's an expensive way to go, which is to pave it.
And that's what Donna was mentioning.
And if
And it
Donna,
was seal coated like last year or the year before, and it's
It
not
didn't hold up. So I don't think we need that $1,900 in there for the seal coating.
Well, don't we have a library trustee right here?
Yeah, right there. What do you know about it?
Do you know, because it's all the library.
What they said was
I would-
that they
we
were
don't
gonna do
need both.
one or the other.
Right,
aha,
What we need is the repaving.
right.
good, let's
So,
take the other.
so you want to reduce this by
1,900.
1,900?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to reduce the,
They can move to,
No, they
You guys
cannot.
voted it.
can we change
No, they can't change the
Okay.
number.
It has to be changed at
deliberative
deliberative.
session? Have no fear, we'll.
Yeah, they can change it when they meet, and then we'll vote it on the 3rd.
Well, let's add everything else on the list on the 3rd. We'll be here until midnight.
well, what, you know
on
what,
the
It's better
it's
than when they
1,900,
deliver it.
it's $1,900,
That's
we're not going to spend it if we don't need it. And the money will be there next year, and we won't have to raise and appropriate as much for the next year.
Lunch for the next
Do you want us to buy
Not a
that?
good way to run a town.
I don't
Oh,
think
don't
we're gonna
even
buy that.
start with that.
No, we're not gonna go there.
Oh, man.
Look, when you present this at the deliberative session,
Yeah.
you can say, due to a typographical miscommunication.
Oh, we can do it at deliberative session and change it.
Yeah, but if you can't figure it out between now
Well,
and
we don't
then.
need to go to the budget committee, we don't have to
So
bring this
I'll
stuff to
support
selectmen to do it
I'll
then.
support the dollar amount, I'll support the dollar amount as written, and if you don't do it, I'll make a motion to reduce it if I find out in the meantime that you don't need to do both. Amen, let's get out of here. Second? Second? Your second?
We already had a second. Is there other discussion? Tom and I, like minds here, we had the same question. Any other questions or discussion? I know we're gonna mark it on the calendar, Tom. Okay, seeing none, take a vote. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Ted? Michael?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, so the best that I can figure, Article 3, which is the complex, we've got to wait until we get figures.
I can give you an update on that. The firm that's putting the numbers together is supposed to have numbers to the Safety Complex Committee on December 21st.
Okay, And the selectmen will be meeting after that date? But
We
before the
gotta,
third?
we have to meet before we have to set one meeting that's probably only gonna be about an hour long. We have to have one meeting before year end
Yeah?
to do the encumbrances, so we can tack that onto.
All right, so you will be meeting then after the 21st?
Could you pull that on your notes that we have to approve the dollar amount on the fire station after we get the number from the committee? So it has to be, we'll have to do that at the encumbrance meeting, so. So we're gonna do the encumbrances, we're gonna get the final number for the safety complex, and, what was the other thing? No, we don't have to do that, we'll do that at, deliberative session, we'll just, make a motion from the floor.
Well, see, the problem is if the,
Using the capital reserve for the.
Oh, capital reserve, to see if we could use the, thank you, capital reserve for, some of the truck purchase.
if we wait until the night of the public hearing, if we don't tackle the safety complex numbers on the 3rd of January, the only other time we can do it is in a work session before we have the public hearing.
Well, I believe,
And we'll definitely be here until midnight at that point.
well, no, because, no,
Yeah, we will.
no, because on, don't we have, the public hearing for the bond, isn't that on the 2nd, January 2nd?
I don't know that.
Because we have to have
Right, you're gonna
I
have a
have
public hearing
the
on
tentative date for that on my phone.
I know.
We have to have a public hearing for the bond, and that's gotta occur within a certain time frame. And I
Right.
believe we're looking at the 2nd, and they gotta put the ad in the Suncook in next week.
That makes sense.
So
Based
let
on
me-
what I was
No, I
looking at.
let me look up my email, and I can get you the exact date.
So we need to start before 7 on the 3rd.
No, I don't think we need to start before 7, but we can't let it go until,
Okay. As an SB2 town, you'll need to post or publish notice of your bond and budget hearings on or before the second Tuesday in January, which he's got 1/8/19, and hold such hearings on or before the third Thursday in January. A hearing on January 2nd that is advertised on 12/26 will work just fine. That's from bond counsel.
okay.
So,
So if you're gonna have your bond hearing
On
on
the 2nd.
the 2nd, then you're gonna have your numbers, because you have to
well, we're gonna have the
those for
numbers on the
bond hearing.
21st.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, so you'll have them on the 2nd for the bond hearing, so we'll be able to act
Do it
on
on
it on the 3rd.
But yeah.
Okay,
So you're
that's
gonna
all I'm
have, we're
concerned
gonna
about.
have your numbers.
That's all I'm concerned about, okay.
Can we take a look at the public hearing, public session, public meeting? Public meeting, 21st?
The bond hearing?
No?
Facilities.
The safety complex committee getting the numbers from the people who's working.
Well, then we're not having a meeting. What's gonna happen is the company's gonna give Glenn the numbers, and Glenn's gonna forward the numbers to us up here. It's not gonna be a
When
formal.
does the public, like me, have a chance to see what those numbers are?
At the bond hearing, from the sounds of it.
Tom, if you'd like, as soon as I get the numbers, I'll give you a call. Would you like to give me your cell phone? I could do that for you.
Do that.
On the 26th, the board has to vote
I'm
this.
sure
Yeah, we're
Ginger
gonna,
would like.
yeah,
a
we're
copy
gonna,
of
well, we're
this.
we're gonna vote on the 20, we're gonna do this before year end, because we'll have the numbers before year end. So as soon as we have it in our, vote on it in our public meeting, which will be before the bond hearing, then it'll be public.
Being a big supporter of this enterprise, I would really like to, start making the case for it with numbers in hand. So the sooner I get them, the better I like it.
I have a really good idea, but I was told the secrecy.
Oh, my word.
So if I can kind of summarize this, it looks as if the committee will be getting the information on the 21st of December. The
Yep,
selectmen will be voting on that and encumbrances.
before the
and
31st.
capital. You're saying on the 26th, I heard that date?
Yeah, that's what they said last
That's
time.
what they
All
said.
right. And then on the 2nd of January will be a bond hearing with the selectmen.
Yes.
Then on the 3rd of January, the Budget Committee has a meeting to accept those numbers.
Yes.
And then when is our public hearings? When are they?
The following week,
Wednesday and Thursday.
Wednesday and Thursday, which is, I'm trying to remember if it's the 8th and 9th or 9th and
9th
10th.
and 10th.
9th and 10th.
Yeah,
Yes.
9 and 10.
9th is town, 10th is school.
So those are the public hearings. And when is it that you need the 737s? Is that?
Because we'll do your public hearings hopefully the same night
Night.
as the town. So if you bring them then, and if for some reason we don't get them signed, we're going to be here the following night anyway, and we'll sign them then.
In other words, looking at, by the time DRA approves all that stuff, since that hasn't come up in the portal, I'm just wondering, we're looking at a month.
Right.
I'm just saying that there may be a need for the three of us to come back at
Yeah.
some other point, because we
And
aren't
if
bound.
that's the case, then we'll address it at that
But
time.
you have to post the public hearing that we're gonna have, so you have to do it that night. Right.
And thanks for bringing that up, because the Gulf Village does not have a public notice for that public hearing. That's done.
You know what?
But the other is done.
So you're saying the golf hasn't posted their public hearing?
Correct. But the village district,
Thanks, Eric.
the
Takes the pressure
the water
off.
district, and the
Cove.
Cove Village is on that public notice. That's already
You've already
been
posted
done.
that?
Yes.
So
Right,
how
because
do-
we
how
didn't-
does he get the golf? You have to put his own notice in, or do you have to?
Ginger, I have a
A
question.
public hearing of the budget committee, the town does it.
We've
So
got
I will do that.
a public hearing on the 10th of January?
For the school.
Okay, that's the second Thursday.
Yes,
the planning board meeting
Yes.
to
Back to your
Monday the 7th.
question about it.
That's the public hearing.
So once, we have to post that night, we have to do it that night.
Right,
Because it's been posted.
but my question had to do not with the public hearing, but with signing the 737.
Ah,
We can get those signed without a problem.
Without, okay, good,
We've managed that before.
good. Because I'm just wondering whether or not the three of us would be able to have those by that point.
Deliberative sessions on the 2nd of February.
I'll take your word for it, I don't know.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Saturday, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a Saturday.
Yes.
But your snow date is Sunday morning at 9 a.m.
I don't think so. I don't think you'll have anybody there.
You might want to rethink that one.
That was a joke.
If it's not Saturday, I
You and I
won't be
going
there.
to church that morning, but,
I'm more, I have to fly to a conference,
so we will be meeting on the 2nd, one way or the other.
yeah.
Fine with me. I'll be there.
What?
Schools for a good session?
When is the school deliberative session?
I think it's the
Thursday night.
following Thursday night.
I'm not sure offhand.
All right, so the towns, I'm sorry, is February what?
Second,
School is the 7th.
Thursday night.
February.
All right, and
Yep, 7th.
Deliberative?
and you s- this is the bond here.
Oh, this piece might be mine.
Saturday the 7th.
Sorry, we got an extra.
Yes, I'm gonna have a copy of that.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry about the forms, Bob. We'll figure out a way to get those signed if they're not available for the 9th or the 10th. we'll figure that out.
The reason being is that in the past, we were able to sign the draft.
Right,
But
and
now
they
you
won't let,
can't, they won't let you sign that front page until you get the page that is blank. Yeah.
the state in their ultimate glory.
In the past, we used to sign the draft 737,
The front cover.
the front
Yeah,
cover.
we'd sign it and then the budget committee would come in and do a fact check of all the numbers like a
You have
subcommittee.
to, in other words, you can't post that draft sign thing, you have to post the actual. So the way that we used to do it, taking last year's draft without signing that, we had to have the actual copy without the draft. You can't get the front page.
Yeah, well, I want to be sure everything is done.
Well, that's what I was saying, in other words, that might be something to think about. Yeah.
So we'll get those other articles.
Just lays them out there.
Good.
Okay, and we'll have minutes, Linda, for the 3rd of
Mailed out ahead of
January?
time?
Yeah. Mailed out ahead of time?
You take out stuff to
I'm just thinking that it would be easier to...
Mike.
No, we don't, honey, because nobody can remember what happened.
That's number.
Whatever I say is whatever.
Right. This is right, just accept it, right. Okay, so I'll make my list of everything we gotta do on the 3rd. We're completely done with the school, so we don't need the school stuff on the 3rd. We finished the school off completely tonight. I'm just thinking about which binders you guys need to bring on the 3rd. I believe you're only going to need your town. All right? If I find I'm wrong, which happens once every 4 or 5 years.
The operating budget's all set. It's
I'm
just
sorry?
the warrant, it's just the warrant, a couple of the warrant articles.
And I will leave it up to you members if you want to bring your binder or just your warrant sheet. But I'm thinking town versus school or both. Okay. So that being said, yeah, entertain a motion to...
I move that we go into
Recess.
recess.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions about what we're doing? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nobody's opposed, I presume. In that case...